most American culture is fed like you can buy a Band-Aid, you can buy a solution.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 6 of What Do You Slay? I am Coach Kara, this is Coach Taylor, and Coach Becca. We are all personal trainers here at Slade Fit Club, a fitness studio here in the Austin, Texas area. We all specialize in different things. Coach Taylor and I are certified nutritional coaches with our sister company,
Slade Fit Movement.
Slade Fit Movement. And Coach Becca is a strength and conditioning coach as well. So we have a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different viewpoints, and we are happy to talk to you today about a very popular topic because a lovely Netflix series out called Living to 100, talking about the blue zones. So we're gonna touch a little bit on that and go from there. So if you guys don't know or haven't heard of this show, it's on Netflix. It's a great documentary. It's also a book, and a gentleman by the name of Dan wrote it and researched all of this for about 20 years. And so in summary, I found kind of a paragraph that summarizes it. So the blue zones give you advice on how to live to be 100 years or older by looking at 5 spots across the planet where people are living the longest. So they look at what they eat, what they drink, how they exercise, and what habits shape their lives. So some really great topics there that we're gonna dive into. And they focus on 4 main areas of that. And we're gonna look and talk about those a little bit more. So first of all, Slade Fit Club, we started this, we're going into year 8, I believe. Slade Fit Club is almost 8 years old. And when I started Slade Fit Club, I thought about some of these aspects that we're going to talk about today, and then how we have maintained that and continued some of those traditions that we set up from the beginning. So first, one slogan we have, one of our mission statement is, we are living longer, so we want to help you live better. And that's something we really focus on. And Dan mentioned this great quote I thought was perfect in starting this topic today. He says, we can live a shorter life with more years of disability, or we can live the longest possible life with fewest bad years. So I think that's a great quote, because really, you kind of have a choice. You really have a choice. So we are believers in preventative health versus reactive. And the country we live in is a little bit more reactive than preventative. So we are passionate about talking about this. So ladies, let's dive in.
Yeah.
First of all, some of us have seen all of them, all the episodes. I think there's 5 of them. And some of us have not completed it, which is all good.
Someone didn't do their homework.
But
looking at you, youngins. We read the book.
Right? They know what we're talking about today. So let's go over the 4 main things that they highlight on what helps you live to 100 years or older. The first one is eat wisely. So do we want to dive into that?
Yeah.
Okay, so eat wisely. From what I learned from that, it's about, they talk about eating only till you're about 80% full. Whole foods, mostly plant-based is what they kind of noticed in their documentary, where kind of protein was a treat. And you look way back into our history, protein was hard to come by, or it was expensive.
Yeah.
So a lot of more complex carbohydrates, things like that, more vegetables, root vegetables.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of that aspect, or what would you like to add to that?
I mean, obviously as trainers and maybe on a few of these episodes, we've really been pushing protein. So I think that came as maybe more of a surprise to find out that the cultures that had the most longevity were eating lighter protein meals. But I think a lot of it, including the vegetables, is going to come down to the quality of your food, right? I think
100%.
Another thing they touched on was a common denominator was organic produce, because a lot of these cultures, like especially the one in Japan, they're gardening their own food, they're producing their own food, so it's organic and the quality is just there. The nutrients aren't being broken down. And if we look at, especially in Western culture, like agriculture and whatnot, even the quality of food that we're feeding our food, the quote unquote animals, right, is grains, it's stripped of all the nutrients, which then the animals, cows, chickens, whatever, ingest. We have that as meat, and then we're getting this really low quality source of protein. So I think that was just surprising because, you know, again, we think of, oh, all protein is good, but it comes down to the quality at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think going back to what you said about like having the choice, and I feel like in America, it's one, we feel like we don't have a choice, but we also feel like we have so many choices, and both of those can be so give you almost paralysis, right? Like there's so many options and so many ways to like be healthy and try to live the longest life, but it really is so simple. Like we're talking about 4 things here.
4 things.
4 common denominators. Like it really isn't that hard, and I think, but it is hard at the same time because you have to choose every single day to live and continue to live for who you want to continue to be.
Absolutely.
So like high level, but you do have the choice, but you just have to continue to make that choice and to continue to eat healthy. Is very hard in America's society because of the abundance of not so healthy foods and the lack of almost good quality of healthy food. So it does feel like you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, but if you can just find what is available to you, or create that community garden, or just grow your little peppers, or start small
somewhere.
Start
absolutely.
somewhere.
Well, and that's a good point, because when we look at especially American culture, you know, you already said this, as a gym, as coaches, we're more preventative. That's our approach to it, as opposed to reactive. But most American culture is fed like you can buy a Band-Aid, you can buy a solution, and we're marketed like, oh, this will make your skin look better, this will make your hair be longer, this will make you age backwards, so and so. And like we want to buy the easy solution. We don't want to choose to have to do that hard work, especially when it goes against the social norms, or it seems like extreme almost to be eating these kind of basic, wholesome, nutrient-dense foods, when we're like, oh, but the trendy thing is to buy this supplement that's gonna make this happen for me. So
and something that is not popular in these blue zones are supplements. Like
you don't
dot period the
be
end.
supplementing if you're getting it through whole food. And that whole food is accessible to everyone. So that's the great thing about this.
Sun, vitamin D, exercise, movement, your leafy greens, legumes, those complex carbs, they all have the vitamins in it to where you shouldn't feel like you should have to supplement. And again, don't get us wrong, there are times when you do need to supplement if you're really deficient and things like that. But if you can work on seeing that all your vitamins are in the foods you eat, you can do rather well and healthy, as it's proven in this documentary, Blue Zone. So, all right, so then the second one is connect. So they talk about having connection, or a sense of community is the second one, which is huge, I think, and what's something we create here at Slade Fit Club. So we have community events with our members, to where the idea was we can get out as a community and do things we might not have done on our own. So we've taken them kayaking, hiking, rock climbing, different pickleballing, learning these different physical activities in a safe kind of fun community And then not just only outside, but even inside when our small group classes, there is a total sense of community. We call it our Slade Fit Club family. And we just kind of have each other's back. We are each other's cheerleaders. Everybody's here for their own reason, but they come back because of that sense of community. But it is so important, I think, to have that, especially elders, to have that socialization community, things like that. And in regards to the documentary, they talk about being part of a church, or even having family live with you as you get older, having those young, different generations being around them. But what do you guys think about that in community?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I mean, we've all moved to different parts of the US, and I think the scariest part for me, I don't know if it was for you, but it was having friends or not having friends that were there. Like, I moved to Philadelphia knowing one person, and then I had found my collective family, but it takes a long time. But I think that's the scariest part. So if you're thinking like innately, why do I feel scared because I don't know anyone? It's like our human nature. We are social animals, and it helps us feel good. We can find like a commonality in things that we struggle with or things that we love to do. And it makes you feel good. I mean, I don't know a lot of the science and psychology behind it, but it is true. And once you find your group and find your crowd, you're more likely to be happier with where you're living and what you're doing with your life.
Depression, it can help with depression, just having that social connection.
Support. Well, and I mean, just tying into, we've all heard like, you are a reflection of like the top 5 people you spend the most time with. And it's important to find people that have similar values or goals, or at least, like in the sense of the gym community, like everyone is here for the same thing. They want to live longer, they want to live better, they want to move well, and they want to do it without pain. So if they're the only person maybe prioritizing that in their family or their friend group, then it's super important to be able to find that support and accountability in a gym.
100%.
And through those friendships and people that are going to foster and support like your desire to really take care of your health. And then, you can even be inspirational to your own family or friends and leading that kind of lifestyle. So
Absolutely. That's a great point. Okay, so let's move on to the third one. So number 3 is move wisely. So what they found in these blue zones were people are gardening. So they have to squat, they have to work with their hands, bending over. They found a form of movement that is sustainable for them and their lifestyle, or it was just incorporated. Like the location in Italy, they had to go up some stairs and climb a partial hill to be part of the church community there. So they would go to service a couple times a day. So they were getting that exercise in. Or they just had to walk to the market and walk their produce back. So finding that movement and it being accessible is really a key part. So one thing that, America is like, gyms, like we are that gym, because sometimes our environment isn't conducive to just being able to like walk to the market and walk home, or walk easily to a park. Maybe we have to drive to the park and then walk around or whatever.
Right.
So that is something of focus, as well as in these communities. Exercise was just kind of a way of life. It wasn't really thought of exercise. It was just like, this is how we get to church, or this is how we go to our community events, or this is what I have to do to have my vegetables grow, things like that. So let's speak a little bit more on that. Like, how is it a little bit different here, and how someone could maybe incorporate that, or just giving your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about the accessibility, I think, is the biggest key to all of this. And as much as I don't love Planet Fitness, they're everywhere. So they are a little bit more accessible, and they're cheap, and so people can go, and I do commend them on that. But I think for here at Slade Fit Club, like Kara and I were just talking about, we are pretty centralized in our Lakeway community. We have clients that do literally walk here. They'll walk a mile and a half to come to class, and then they'll walk their butt back home. Or we're a 5-minute drive. And so I think our location is perfect, because if exercise is accessible, people are more likely to do it, as we've seen in the blue zones.
Yeah.
So I think that's key. And another thing is training the way that you live. And that's something that I'm really passionate about with the strength and conditioning. You have to train the way that you play your sport. And if your sport is gardening, well, I got to teach you how to squat, 30 times without your knees hurting and those kinds of things. And so that's another thing that we like to do here at Slade Fit Club is explain to you why we're doing this move, because it might not make sense to you, but when we put it in the perspective of, hey, this is you carrying your 20 water bottles out of your trunk to your refrigerator. Oh, okay, that makes sense. I'll continue to do this move, and just kind of relating it to real life scenarios.
Yeah, we do that often, even with our older adults. Just saying like, hey, this is you stepping up on a curb. This is making sure that when you're going up the stairs, you're lifting your knee and you're not going to clip a toe and fall. We constantly remind them how our movement relates back to real life, which I think is very helpful. And I also think why we have phenomenal retention with our members, because they see the value, they see the benefits, how it relates to their real life, and it's a lifestyle that is sustainable for them, a movement for the style of movement that's sustainable for them, and they enjoy it.
Yeah.
Plus, they love our coaches. We're pretty awesome.
Well, I think another thing too that what we just listened to, he talked about like the safety of exercise, especially for older adults, and in America too. I mean, it's not something that's prioritized for them, but if we can create an environment that feels safe and they know that they're safe to move around and move their body, they're more likely to do that. And we've done such a great job creating our Elevate class and proving to these people over and over again where they're bringing their friends in. They're like, no, I promise you're okay in this room and doing these things. And it's just so awesome to see. So.
It is.
And I think one of the most maybe gratifying things too is when we have clients come in and they tell us, they're like, hey, I was able to help my daughter move up and down like multiple flights of stairs, and I was strong enough to do that, like maybe they're in their 60s, 70s, and they're coming in and they're putting the hard work in, and they're able to see how that applies and feel good and confident about that. And that just like they feel confident sharing that with us, and then being able to do that just means a lot, because we're really seeing how it's benefiting their lives outside of this.
And they're able to participate in the family activities, or sometimes they go on family vacations, and sometimes the grandparents can't participate in the hike or whatever, but a lot of our members were like, I was able to hike with them, and we went up here, we did this, and even we have clients with MS or Parkinson's, things like that, just helping them continue to move that body and continue to keep it strong or get it stronger so they can participate, and comes down to that community or family that you can be part of, which is important. So
I think like watching these people in these different countries, it's easy to kind of write it off. Well, I don't have to walk 2 miles to church, and I don't have to garden, I don't need to do this, like I got Walmart and all those things. So it's easy to kind of write off these things. It's, oh, that's what that community does, I don't need to do it. But it's really putting it into perspective. Okay, yes, you don't have to create your own garden because we have large produce stores, but you do want to participate in your family activities, right? Or you do want to be able to pick that box up even though you're a 75-year-old female, right? Like you want to be able to continue to do these things. So it's kind of relating it to the culture that we have in America and the things that we are doing, because our life does require movement. It just might not look like it does in some of these examples. I think that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hate to say it, but the way the world is we're becoming lazier with robots and technology, groceries being delivered. I mean, and there's all different aspects. And don't get me wrong, you can have your groceries delivered, but it's just different. We don't have to work so hard to go get things or do things because we want that instant gratification, going back to what Taylor was talking about. So you have to make it, you have to create it, because the more and more robots and technology come into our lives to make them easier, it's going to make us lazier
And deteriorate us.
And then it costs you your health, really.
It is. And so it's not really, no one's quite looking out for you, to be honest with you. We might think it's great and all that. And at times it's wonderful, but find a way to move your body. Get up and walk. Park in the farthest parking spot. Like even just starting there, get some extra steps in. So anyways, just wanted to touch on that. Okay, the last one is purpose. I think this is huge. So they talk about your purpose, meaning like kind of what are you living for, and or people volunteering to help others, and how chemically that helps you in your brain and how you feel and your sense of purpose that helps keep depression away, things like that, where everybody in these in this documentary kind of had a purpose. They had a meaning to get up out of bed every day and go do something or better someone's life or volunteer or support their community, whatever the case is, or support family members. So let's talk about that. I think this is huge for me. This is what helps me and why I started Slade Fit Club, because I love helping people.
Yeah.
And I think that is my purpose as I keep going down, help people continue doing life.
Yeah.
So tell me what you guys think.
That's it. I feel like we all have that same commonality just because of what we do. But I just think about life. It's just about making other people happy. You know, that's the purpose for me, is whether it is through the job that we do or just being friendly to other people. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And just I mean, you're right. Like there are periods when I was living in Philadelphia, I just wasn't happy with where I was. And so I had to look around me, and I seriously considered all four of these things. Like, who are the people I'm hanging out with? What's the city like? Is it conducive to my purpose, which is helping other people? And that place was not it.
Yeah. And then you changed it.
So I changed it. And I'm here.
And we're so happy she did.
Yeah. But I think finding that purpose and staying true to it, it's going to guide you for a really long time and just keep you happy.
Yeah. And it's another way of like serving others.
Yeah.
Serving others for a larger, greater purpose, you know, to help your community.
Yeah. I mean, I love, you know, when I'm talking to my friends about our jobs and stuff, and I feel so fortunate, and sometimes it's easy to forget that, you know, you get caught up in your day to day, but it's so fortunate. Like the best days are when we really helped someone or had that impact, and it feels so good. Like I really sleep well at night because you're just like, well, what makes your heart more full than seeing that benefit and seeing people that appreciate that? And I mean, it makes coming to work easy, and it makes working not feel like work. So.
Yeah, because we're doing what we love.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think you have to take some time and like reflect, and you might not have a job that's fulfills your purpose, but where can you put that in your free time, whether it's gardening or going to church, you know, getting involved in that community or anything like that. You know, we have to make money, right, to make a living. So if you can't quite tie those two things together, well, you have, you know, X amount of other hours throughout the week where you can find that purpose and find other people who share that same commonality.
Yeah.
And make time for
some
that.
aspects of what you're trying to, and then kind of get to that main area that you're wanting to be in, possibly. And gosh, you know, I have to say, it just is not like I decided this when I was 20. Like, good Lord, it was not that, you know. It's like it takes time, and as you get older, it changes, you know. Becca made a great point I'm going to bring up. She's like, she's living the dream she dreamt when she was 20. So you got to think about, she put in the hard work, and she had the vision, the purpose, and she's living what she wanted to be. So celebrating those small moments instead of keep chasing for the ideal, you know, things like that. Like pause your life for a minute and give gratitude and appreciation and respect for where you're at and what you're doing great right now, and what you maybe thought 5 or 10 years ago where you wanted to be, and are you there? You know, and if you're not, okay, great, but you're still on the journey, you know, and it's a journey.
Well, and being able to look at your day to day, like taking a deep breath and being like, are the decisions I'm making bringing me closer to the person that I'm becoming, or are they keeping me in my same habits, or keeping me in the same place? And everyone feels stuck, and it's easy to just like you said, maybe you're not fulfilled by your job, so you're just like, but I have to because I have bills to pay, and it's like, okay, well, maybe you can't make a huge change, but you can still make those decisions in your outside time where you're setting yourself up to live the life you want to have, to be the person you want to be, and that all starts back to here, all these basics that are going to fulfill you.
Yeah. So just summarizing all that. So choosing to eat wisely, choosing to eat whole foods that fuel you, that nourish your body, having a connection, a community, friends, loved ones, family, church, a sports group, whatever, like connecting with others. Finding a way to move your body, whether it's in a gym, whether it's not in a gym, maybe it's just walking, maybe it's a community walk, heck, who knows? And then your purpose, like what makes you get up out of bed that you want to keep going and doing and helping and serving a greater good. So I think those are the 4 main parts we would ask you to think about and reflect, and just start small, start somewhere, and I guess celebrate the fact that you're watching this and you're just thinking about this.
I think a good question or, topic to ask yourself is like, what makes you feel good? And do what makes you feel good, because those are the chemical changes that are going to happen to keep your body healthy. I mean, if you say do what makes you feel good, okay, what do I eat that makes me feel good?
Yeah.
And don't lie and say alcohol, because it might feel good in the moment, but you feel like crap the next day, so don't even go there. But yeah, so what makes me feel good when I eat, / what makes me not feel good after I eat it. What do I like to do that gives me those good like juices of, I just accomplished something really great, or I made somebody's day. And then what type of movement makes me feel good? So I would say that's just a great question to start off with. And you're probably going to find the answers to these 4 things.
Yeah, that's really, really great advice. So I kind of feel like we made a mini version of Blue Zones here at Slade Fit Club, just through community, helping people find sustainable form of movement, and our nutritional coaching, Slade Fit Movement. We hone in on sustainability of changing that lifestyle of how you're choosing to eat, giving you tips, helping you guide you to eat that more whole foods. And achieving the physique or health, optimal health results that you're wanting. So, good for us.
Yeah, this is great.
Right? So, let's do red flag, green flag.
All right, time to get silly.
All right, so first, red flag, green flag, snacking.
Yellow.
I'm gonna say red.
Oh, I would go green.
Oh, this is exciting!
Drama!
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, I'm gonna say yellow because I would say it depends on what you're snacking on. I think if you're hungry, feed your body, but feed it with something good.
Okay. I say, mine's red flag, but I have to say that I think you should get enough in some of your main meals, but obviously if you're still feeling hungry, I listen to my body. If it's hungry, then I go back to this and say I snack on something that's healthy or good for me.
I think going along with both of those, as far as the context of like eating, if you're still hungry, something that's gonna fill you up, or making a good decision, like with our schedule, we have a break every 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the hour, and then you might not have time for your lunch or your meal, like hours out. Same thing with people in offices or meetings. So I eat a lot of little snacks, and then maybe I'll have like a lighter breakfast or a lighter dinner. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's gonna be like your energy in versus energy out right now. And if your snacking is super excessive, then at that point, maybe more red flag. But I think context matters.
I think if you snack all day and you're not really sure how much you've eaten, because snacking can get you in trouble real quick. So that's why I'm a little more red flag, because that
you can tell we all have a little experience with snacking.
What's your relationship with snacking?
Right? I try to stay away from it because it gets me in trouble. So I guess that's how you feel. But in context, like if we're traveling, and I don't have time to eat like a decent meal, I'm snacking to get those calories in. So I guess it just depends, context. So, all right, carbohydrates.
Green.
I'm gonna say green. Well, I'm green.
What, yellow green?
Well, yellow green.
Speed up, slow down. Come on.
Yes. No, yes. yellow. I think you
Yeah.
have to look at refined carbohydrates versus complex carbohydrates. So going to our blue zones that showed that they were eating a lot of complex carbohydrates. So what is a complex carbohydrate? So those are like potatoes, sweet potatoes, ones that are, they burn slower and keep your glycemic levels lower. Versus refined sugars are like bleach and they're stripped of all their nutrients and fiber. So white rice, like flour. I mean, there's all these different ones. Pastas that are not made with some good kind of flour.
Yeah.
But so I think you have to look at it from those aspects. That some of them do better for our bodies than others.
Yeah.
But I say, if it comes from the ground, eat it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
potatoes, squashes, new potatoes, all the different kinds of them, you know?
Agreed.
Okay, getting your cardio via a machine.
I'd say green.
I'm gonna go green.
Yeah. Kara?
I have,
She's like green for the
I'm a yellow. I think it's dependent. I would rather see people get out and get vitamin D and sun and be outdoors because I think it does a lot more benefits. But I think that if it's raining or it's hot out like it is here in Texas, then you're trying to get some steps in, a machine is totally fine.
Yeah.
But I would prefer people to get out, and because you could be using different muscles than just what one machine can give you.
Definitely.
I don't want to say it's bad, so
Some
that's
is better
green.
than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
I will say, when I was living in Philly, the pollution levels in Philly are so bad that I think like going for a 30-minute run or walk was the equivalent of smoking like a pack of cigarettes or something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So in that case, it's like, oh, I'm getting the vitamin D from the sun, but I'm also, you know, killing my lungs and my heart because of it. So that was pretty wild too. So in that case,
Oh, well, that's green for
you
sure.
know, yeah. So city living is there's
Not
goods
for
and
the
bad,
weak.
but you can walk to your grocery
Yeah.
store. I walk to my Whole Foods.
Does that count?
With your oxygen tank.
I'm carrying heavy bags.
Yeah. You win some, you lose some.
All right, afternoon coffee.
I'm gonna go red.
Red.
Becca's our night shifter.
Right.
I can see it. She's like,
Green if you're careful.
Green if you're careful. All right.
I would say red mostly because as I've gotten older, have become more sensitive to caffeine. And like, if I have any bit of caffeine after maybe 2 p.m., I will be awake until midnight, and that is just not conducive to waking up at 5 a.m. and feeling rested.
Yeah.
Being a nutrition coach, we've experienced a lot of clients that deal with hormone imbalances, and we are seeing, you know, like they're working all day, so they're stressed out. They woke up early with their cortisol really high, but then they're continuing to stay up late. They're looking at their phones, so it's just throwing up their internal balances. And then when you add caffeine on that, it's just spiking all of that stress, and it's never positive. Like, I've never talked to any of our nutrition clients that are like, I'm so glad I had that 2 p.m. coffee. Like, generally, if you need that coffee as a pick-me-up, it's because your sugar levels, your blood sugar's not regulated. Or, again,
or you didn't
cortisol's
get enough
super
sleep.
high. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just like I've never heard someone be like, I'm so glad that I did that, unless they're about to drive 12 hours. Or
I
you know,
can't
something
wait
crazy.
to come in tomorrow and say, I'm so glad I had my 2 p.m. coffee.
She's like, rub it in your face.
Well, I mean, green if you're careful for those reasons that you talked about. So I think, yeah, like as I've gotten older, the caffeine doesn't quite get out of my body the way it used to. But I have found different levels that I can handle after, say, 2 o'clock. But I think the biggest thing is my sleep. So it's a dirty little cycle that happens.
Yeah, that's why mine's red. Like, I am so sensitive to caffeine. So anything, even iced tea after 3, I have to be careful because I'll be like, and it's time to go to bed.
Right.
And then my husband's laying next to me, and I'm like, so babe, you want to talk about something? He's like, did you drink something after 3? I'm like, I'm not ready to go to bed yet. So for those reasons, and
I just love coffee so much.
I know.
It's just so good.
You're
It
gonna
is so good.
you're gonna be the lady that has a decaf at dinner.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've always asked. Sometimes I like to treat myself to a espresso martini, but that's got to be decaffeinated. I cannot do that. So, anyways. That is our episode 6 of What Do You Slay? We thank you so much for joining us, and we ask you, if you love these, please subscribe to our channel. We would really appreciate that. And if you have any questions or you have any ideas about what you'd like to hear us talk about, then leave a comment and we will work on putting it in the poll of episodes to host here. So thank you so much, and we will see you soon.